What's up, everybody? This is Taylor here. This is my first video getting the actual sauce into Airbnb. So in this video, we're going to be covering what is Airbnb co-hosting. Make sure you understand what this business model is. How do we make money? Why is it such a huge opportunity right now? So it's probably the biggest opportunity in the Airbnb space right now. It's very untapped. There's a ton of potential, very, very low risk. So I'm going to go over exactly, how do we make money? What is the model? And why is it such a big opportunity right now? So let's get right into it here. So, what is Airbnb co-hosting? Let's start off with that. So, Airbnb co-hosting is really just another way to say a vacation rental management company or an Airbnb property management company. The reason why it's specifically called like Airbnb co-hosting is on Airbnb you can have the option of adding somebody as a co-host onto your listing. So that's why this general industry has coined the term Airbnb co-hosting, but you could still call it like a vacation rental management company or Airbnb property management company. Now, the only difference really with like co-hosting property management, they're really the same thing, but generally speaking, the difference between those two is one is going to be the property management has a property management license that allows them to handle trust funds as well as leases, but that's literally the only difference. The best thing with Airbnb co-hosting does not require any sort of licensing to get into. And we'll go, in a separate video of exactly how do we structure everything to not require a license. It does, very dependent on your specific city. But what is Airbnb co-hosting? We're basically managing someone else's Airbnb or vacation rental that they own. So we're not leasing it. We're not, actually buying the property. We're just managing someone else's property that they've already done the legwork of buying it and setting it all up. We just need to go in there and manage it. And so, what does the co-host do, or the vacation rental management company? They handle the marketing, the pricing, the guest communication, all the tech back end stuff. Typically, also like the taxes, and usually the cleaning and maintenance. So there's kind of two parts to it. There's full service management, and then there's also non full service management, which a company that has basically evolved. They're an affordable management company that somebody can hire at only like 10 or 15%, but they don't handle the cleaning or maintenance, and they don't handle most of the guest communication. So full service management is like you're doing everything, including the maintenance and cleaning, scheduling, helping out with the payments typically as well, and but you're not actually paying for the cost. You're either forwarding that cost to the owner or charging them directly for like the cleaning fees or any maintenance fees. So to confirm, the co-host has no overhead costs outside of their software fees and their own internal employees or any other companies that they partner up with. The co-host is just the manager of the property. So Airbnb co-hosting is simply a property management company that specifically manages Airbnb type properties like vacation rentals, not specifically like an Airbnb property. They're just most commonly referred to Airbnb because that's the biggest booking platform. But Airbnb is just one of the sites that we list on to get bookings for their vacation rental. So it's not specifically we're managing their Airbnb. We're managing their Airbnb, Vrbo, Booking.com, Expedia listing, all the different booking platforms. And really the difference of not requiring a license is just going to be simply setting up as not any sort of trust accounting. So you're not holding the funds. The payouts get sent directly to the owner. And typically with Stripe, you can set it up where automatically your management fees and other fees will automatically be deducted. As well as dealing with leases, that typically requires a license agreement or a license to actually do that. But every single city and state is different. So whatever area that you're doing this in, you're going to want to confirm those particular laws. But typically it's quite flexible compared to, actual management company. So how does a co-host make money? So your main source of income is going to be your management fee or you charging a percent. So typically in this space, it's going to be 15 to 25% of the booking income that they get after booking platform fees and taxes. So for example, they book on Airbnb. Airbnb charges the guests a 15% fee and usually the host a 3% fee. So, after that, and then after any sort of taxes, you're going to charge your percent on any actual income that they get. So, for example, if a property made $6,000 in 1 month after booking platform fees and taxes, which is a pretty standard property. So that includes the nightly rate income, cleaning fees, any sort of additional income like pet fees or late check-in and check-out fees. And let's say you're charging 20%. I would say the most normal is 25% for full service management. But to be more competitive, and if you're more new, you're going to be more likely charging 15 or 20%. So at 20%, you'd make $1,200, and the owner would make 4,800. So you made $1,200. You didn't have to cover any sort of expenses. The owner paid for the cleaners, or you charge them for the cleaning fees, and that's why it's very risk free, because the owner's paying the mortgage, they're paying all the expenses related to the property. We're just purely here taking a commission off of the bookings that we get them. So if we get them no bookings, we don't make any money. So it's in our general interest to make them as much money as we can, because we are commission based. Now there is other income sources. You can collect direct booking fees. Like for example, we're charging around a 12% fee for direct bookings. And we also collect those fees. That covers our marketing expenses, and it's still lower than any other booking platform. So that's a way that you can make additional income. And then up marks on fees. So for example, let's say the guest pays a $250 cleaning fee, and you have a cleaner that you're paying $200 for. You can charge the owner maybe $250, and you can keep that extra $50. And on a big scale, that stuff adds up a lot. Once you're at a certain level, at a certain point, you'll have your own cleaners and maintenance people all within an area. And that's when you can start making a lot of money off the cleaning fees and maintenance fees, because you can pay a cleaner $20 an hour if they work directly for you, and you can charge a $250 cleaning fee for a 3-hour clean. So there's ways to make monies like that as you continue to scale. And then also there's tech fees. It's not that uncommon for somebody to charge like $100 technology fee that covers their software fees. I'd say that's a little bit more when you're established. And there's onboarding fees. Some people charge like $500 onboarding fee to go through the process of actually onboarding that property and kind of really locking in that contract. You can also make additional income off the design fees or any sort of property trip fees. So if you or one of your partners in the area go out to the property, for any reason, you can charge property trip fees. That can easily add up to an extra $500 or $1,000 per month per property. So we're not really just focused on those management fees. I would say the biggest income source is going to be the direct booking fees and the upmarks on fees that you can have, and then eventually your own internal employees. Once you have enough volume in a specific area, that's when you can make a lot outside of just the management fee. So there's other ways to make money. I'll also talk about how the equity is, for this type of industry. Like the average company, when they come and sell their company, let's say they have 100 clients, like the average company usually sells their client contracts between like $20,000 to $40,000 for each contract. So a company that has like 100 clients, they might be worth like over $2 or $3 million in terms of like a resale value. So there's a lot that goes into specifically what makes a company valuable, and the EBITDA. There's a lot to unpack with that. But just on the base level of how do we make money on a monthly basis, this is how so. But I would definitely highly, look into the fact that you are gaining significant value through your company's equity as well, which people don't talk about very much. So why would an owner hire a co-host? They don't have the time or experience to manage everything. There's a lot of people that are too busy. They don't have the time to fully manage all the guest messages, handling the cleaners, the maintenance. They don't have the experience or expertise to actually, well optimize the property. I'm going to definitely go into exactly how can we go in there, even with zero experience, and go in there and totally crush it. Like I said, all these things I can spiel a long time on all these different specific topics. This is just going to be kind of a surface level video. And then there's also a lot of people that hire somebody because they're not local. So if you are, a local host, you do have that advantage, but you also don't need to be local. I don't live anywhere near any of my properties. We're in a couple states. Most of them I've never seen before. So you don't need to be local, but that might be a reason why somebody's looking for assistance, or they just don't have interest in doing everything themselves. There's a lot of people that just don't care too much about actually doing all the stuff themselves. They make enough money doing whatever, or they just don't have any interest, but they want to make more than just a normal long-term rental, or they like the fact that there's multiple cleans happening every month. You don't have to worry about evictions. There's a lot of benefits of doing Airbnb versus long-term rentals. You're going to make more money. There's less wear and tear on the property, less risk for the owner. So a lot of benefits there for the owner. And a lot of owners, make more money if they hire a co-host. If we have like a terribly self-managed property where they're on one booking platform, they have no pricing software, they don't really have good operations, they're getting bad reviews on their property. Like a co-host can go in there and like double or triple their annual revenue. So it can make sense to like, okay, spend 20% to go make double the amount of money, plus being significantly more hands off. Like for example, even with these big management companies, there's big opportunities. Like for us, we typically have at least a 20% revenue increase for self-managing hosts or hosts that are with big management companies, just because they're so confident that we can go in there and totally offset all of our expenses, as well as make them more money in the long term. So why is it such a big opportunity right now? There's millions of hosts that don't know how to properly manage their property. Most people who have a manager are with these big companies and they're doing terrible jobs. So, for example, Vacasa has around 40,000 properties that they manage around the USA, and Evolve has another around 30,000 properties that they manage. And I'm just specifically talking about the USA, but these things all apply to no matter what country you're in. And honestly, some of these other countries, this could be even a bigger case where there's not that many professionals actually running Airbnbs in the area. So that's why there's such a big opportunity, because there's so many people that could benefit from having somebody like you come in there. So there's a lot of small, and also a lot of the small ones, they're a few years outdated and they just still suck. They're not up to date with all the recent technologies and the strategies, or just because they're a boutique management company doesn't mean that they're very good anyway. It's just an untapped niche. Everybody's focused on buying real estate, creative financing, wholesaling, Airbnb arbitrage, which is still an awesome model, but a lot of people are more focused on that, or other online businesses like drop shipping, crypto, Amazon stores. A lot of people are just focused on other things. There's not a whole lot to talk about specifically co-hosting. There's a lot of creative ways to get a lot of clients quickly. Like we have some great funnels to get over 8 clients a month onboarded every single month, and now we're just only getting started with that. And it really is the least risky way to get into real estate and Airbnb, because simply due to the fact that the owner pays for literally everything. You have no like overhead cost risks other than like $40 a month in software fees, and a person can easily hit $10,000 per month in cash flow within 6 months of like getting started with this business. So how do you get clients is my final part here. So there's a lot to unpack with all these different methods, which I'm going to definitely go into. But we're going to start off with cold outreach. So there's a lot of different types of cold calling involved with this. We can cold call people who are self-managing their Airbnbs, hosts that are with bad companies, big giant companies that are really not hands-on with their individual properties. They rely on all these forget it and set it algorithms to automate things. There's also a lot of long-term rental owners on Zillow that you can contact to potentially convince to do Airbnb and you manage it. But I'd honestly say like cold calling self-managing hosts and hosts with these big management companies are the best pools to target. And there's ads. There's big opportunity with ads that not very many companies are doing. Just doing simple ad funnels where it's like increase your revenue by 20% plus a guarantee, or looking to be more looking for someone to manage your Airbnb rental in Colorado, or whatever market you're in. And the networking is a big thing in this space. There's a lot of meetups you can go to, a lot of strategy with that. And over time, you'll get referrals for sure. A lot of bigger, companies that have been around for a while, they don't even need to do any marketing. They just get referrals every single week, just over time that they build up. There's a lot of Facebook groups that are specifically like Airbnb. You can go in there and connect with people. But I would say cold outreach and ads are the most lucrative way because those you have direct control of. There's only so much networking you can do. You can only rely on referrals so much. So you need a direct, actionable source of getting leads. That's going to be through cold outreach and ads. Really, going to be the primary ways that somebody can grow a company. There's also another option where you can go buy another management company. A lot to unpack with that, but we're specifically talking about how to build up a company from starting from 0 clients to 100. And so just by cold outreach and just honestly, just by cold outreach right now, we're getting around 7+ clients a month, and we're just implementing ads. So a lot more to, talking about there. But this is just a surface level video of, you getting a better understanding of what's co-hosting, how do we make money, why is it such a big opportunity right now. I'm not doing, the fancy editing or any BS fluff. I'm just getting straight to the point here. And so basically I'm going to create these playlists where you can start from, video one, which would probably be this one. I'm going to go through the whole process and learn every single aspect of this. I'm going to give you all the templates and everything that you need. And yeah, so hope that this was helpful. Like I said, it's a big opportunity right now, and it's only up to you to utilize and take action on those. And that's exactly how we've built a 7-figure business out of this.